my channel. I wanted to come on and tell a little story. We're not formal, we informal. I kind of look a little crazy, you know, my shirt. But I wanted to come and make this video. It's been a long time. I kind of sat back and forth to see if I wanted to make the video or not, but I was told that I have a story in my story. So pretty much I'm gonna place it in the title so you guys can see. So pretty much it's a story on how I found my father's side of the family. And if you hear some noises, the kids, they in there playing, I'm in here working, back here doing some work. So that's why I said it's a little informal, but it's okay, because I'm still gonna do my work and I'm still gonna tell my story, okay? So pretty much the story was how I found my father's side. Anybody who knows me knows that you know, it was me and my mom for a while, and of course my stepdad and my mom got married, I think in like 92 or 93. I was born 85. So anyway, let's fast forward a little bit. So, you know, my mom always told me the story of, you know, my father. I don't know, I think she did tell me that he was married, but she didn't know that he was married when, you know, things was going down. She didn't know. She said that how she ended up finding out was that when she was pregnant, I guess her NCOs, which this is the Air Force term, had told her, hey, did you know that Daryl was married, you know, and he has a family already, like he had a son. And I don't know if she had my sister yet, but I don't remember. But anywho, she found that out and she was like, she had no idea. So once she found it out, she left it alone. You know, my mother doesn't like drama, and she just left it alone. She left it be, and she told him, you don't have to do nothing, and blah 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 blah, you know. So you know, coming up, my mother told me that story, and I've always wanted to know, you know, I'm not saying my mother's lying, but it's like you want to know both sides. You want to know, like, what happened with him, like, you know, why he wasn't there, yada, yada, yada. You kind of want to know, you know, you get curious. So coming up, you know, I always wanted to find him. You know, I think I started looking more so when I went into like high school. Middle school, I was just like, man, you know. But I think high school, because you kind of get like, you kind of want to know yourself more, right? So all I knew was my mom's side, you know, whatever. I just had one grandparent, you know. I've seen people's families that had two, and I'm just like, oh, I wish I had that, you know, because my family side, my mama's side is not a big side. And, you know, I'm not gonna go on into all of that. But anywho, you know, I was searching for my dad. So, you know, back then, this had to be, I graduated in 03. So I started looking around, like, in high school. So I want to say I went to high school 99 and I graduated in 03. So I was looking around. You know, back then we didn't have social media. Internet wasn't really big. So I hope you guys can hear me, because I'm making shirts, so I got to get this done, but I wanted to do this video before I forgot. So I hope you guys can hear me over the noise. But, so anywho, I started looking, it's not that loud. I think I talk louder. But anyways, so I started looking around, you know, social media, and I think Facebook, did Facebook come out then? I don't think so. I don't remember. But anyways, I started looking on the internet, because we didn't have social media back then. So I started looking on the internet, and, you know, my mother told me his name was Daryl Butler. So I'm looking for Daryl Butler. I'm looking in the phone book for Daryl Butler. You know, I'm just looking, not finding anything. So, you know, then you start to think like, well, he didn't want me, so why should I be looking for him, and he should be looking for me, this, that, and the third. So I just stopped. Then when I came into the military, it was like, okay, social media started getting prominent, and I started, like looking, and I couldn't find them. And I think when Facebook started popping off, and I was looking, still couldn't find him. And I kind of gave up. And I remember even years when I started having kids, I still looked and I couldn't find them. I really didn't know what I was looking for, honestly. I didn't know who I was looking for. I didn't know the face I was looking for. I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like I resemble my mom. I feel like I look like my mom, right? So, anywho, years go by. I still look on social media, on Facebook, Instagram. I don't find anything. So, I just kind of gave up. I stopped looking. And I was just like, you know what? Maybe it's just not meant to be. And Ancestry, I know you guys, I don't know if you guys heard of Ancestry. It's pretty much a test that you put your DNA in it, you send it off, and they tell you like where you're from, like the countries you're from, and just different stuff. And then you can have like DNA matches. And so like it can show up, like pop up who you have a DNA match related to, or you know what I'm saying, like that. So like my mom did one, she did one for my grandfather. So hers showed, like different countries that she's from and different things like that. So she gave me one for Christmas one year. I want to say this was like 2016 or 2017. She gave it to me for Christmas. I want to say 2017. I was like, I ain't doing that. I don't care. So I eventually ended up doing it. And I think this had to be 2018. I sent it off in like April. I did it, sent it off in April. And I think the results came back in like July. I want to say it was like July. So, I see my mom, of course, up there. I see my grandfather. And I see my cousin, and then it's like 2 people I didn't recognize, and they were high. They were high up on the list. So what it does is it does like your parent, it does like your grandparent, and like anything that's like a high match is up to the top, right? So I seen this name, and I was just like, it wasn't my father's name. I didn't see Daryl Butler anywhere. I didn't see any Butlers on my thing. So I seen a name, and I asked my mom, and I was like, hey, do you know this person? And she was like, no, that might be from your father's side. And I was like, oh, snap. So the name was Willie Gregory. So I hit them up. You can hit them up in the thing, and you can make like a chat or whatever. So I'm sorry if this gets long and if I get emotional. Please excuse me. So I'm a very emotional person. And I notice when I tell this story, I do get a little emotional. So if you see me crying, don't laugh. I mean, if you laugh, it's cool, whatever. But I'm a very emotional person. And when I tell this story, it makes me, it makes me sad. So anyways, so I seen Willie Gregory. And my mom was like, yeah, I have no idea who that is. So I was like, okay. So I sent them a message on Ancestry. They never hit me back. And I was like, all right. So I looked them up on Facebook. And so I was like, I didn't know who I was looking for still. So I typed in Willie Gregory, and it was like a couple of them that popped up. And I was like, so yeah, I don't know. I think it was like 4 or 5. So I didn't know who I was looking for. So I clicked on one. It was no picture. He had no friends. And I was like, all right. I clicked on another one. No picture, no friends. And I clicked on them. They was like, no picture, no friends. So I was like, man, whatever. So I left it alone. And, sometimes you say you can hear people speak to you, or you can hear God speak to you. And God, I'm saying this is God, because I was saying like something was telling me, go back, like go back and look. And I was like, because it was like, you don't know what you're looking for. So I was just like, whatever. So God was like, go back. I was like, all right. So I went back to look. First, Willie Gregory. It had a picture, but I was like, I don't know what I'm looking for. And then he didn't have any friends. So I was like, and so I went to the second one, and it had a picture, and it had like 1 friend. And I was like, I'm done. I keep going. What am I looking for? So I stopped. Another voice, God, go back, look again. I was like, all right. So I went back. This time, I think I was in class. I was in school at the time. And I went back and I looked on Willie Gregory's page. This time it had friends. So I went to his friends list and I typed up Butler. And two names popped up. One said Jared Butler. Another one said Daryl Butler. Remember I told you my dad's name is Daryl. So I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So I clicked his page and it was like a little boy. It had a little boy picture. And then in the back, it had a tombstone. And the tombstone had said, it said Daryl Butler, U.S. Air Force, born February 1965, died January 2000. So I looked at that and I was like, I'm in class, mind you. And I look at the picture of the person. It looks like a little boy. And then I look at the tombstone again. And something clicked in my head and it was like, I think your dad is dead. So I'm in class, mind you. I'm looking at this stuff. I'm looking at his Facebook page. And the Facebook page of Daryl Butler that I was saying was my little brother. He's named after my father. And so I'm in class, and I just start crying. And because I'm looking and I pull the picture up and I text my mom and I was like, do you know when my dad was born? I know he was in the Air Force. Do you know when he was born? So both my parents, my biological father and my mom were both in the Air Force. That's how they met. And she said, yeah, I think that's him. And I just started crying in class. I mean, like tears just flowing down my face, bawling, crying. And the teacher was like, yeah, blah, 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 we're done for the day. So I was getting up, packing my stuff anyway, because I was about to leave. I was like, I can't be in class and I'm over here bawling eyes. And so I was packing up my stuff. And the teacher was like, yeah, we're good. Y'all are good. And we left. And so I sat in the car and I couldn't go anywhere. I was just like a hot mess. I'm looking it up. I'm looking up my brother's page. And then I just see I think he just had the tombstone. So I'm like just bawling. I'm calling my mom, my best friend, my husband. I was like, I think I found my father, but he's dead. And I was like, I don't know what happened. So anywho, I'm looking through my brother's page. I type in Butler again, and I see the Jared. So I click to his page, and I'm like, this person looks like me. Oh my gosh, he looks a lot like me. Eyebrow, everything. Like, we look a lot alike. So I hit him up with a message. I hit up my little brother with a message, pretty much saying hi, tell him my name, and I'm looking for Daryl Butler. And, I believe he's my father, just telling them the story about my mom, whatever. And at first, I didn't get a response like ASAP, but then I ended up getting a response. So I found him. I found my sister Tia, because I think my mother had said that when they told her that he had a child and was naming, she didn't remember the brother's name that they told her, but she remembered the little girl's name. And she was like, I do remember that they said your sister's name was Tia. And I was like, so when I looked on Jared's page, I seen Tia Butler, and I was like, oh my gosh. So, just investigating through Facebook. So I hit them all up with a message, same message, pretty much telling them the story. This is my father. My mother said this is what my father's name is. Do you know him? Blah, 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 blah. And Jared hit me back first. And he pretty much was like, yeah, my father's name was Daryl. He was stationed at Dover. He said, unfortunately, he was murdered. Like, he was killed. He's no longer here. And so that hurt me because, now I'm finding my family. At this time, I'm 33 years old. I'm 37. I just had a birthday. Okay. At this time, I was 33 years old. So I missed a lot, So I'm talking to them, and he's just, telling me the stuff of what happened. He was like, yeah, he was stationed at Dover, blah, 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 blah. He was a Rolling Stone, and, you know, and he got killed. I'm sorry. This, that, and the third. So, you know, we were just chit-chatting it up. And then eventually Tia, you know, came along and she wrote me back. And mind you, this is like not a blow up of their world, but this is like, oh my God, we have a sibling that we had no idea about. Was she our sibling? Where she came from? You know, so this is in the back of their head. And mind you, they're all talking amongst each other. But, you know, after talking to them, they were like, we knew that you were our sibling just by looking at your pictures and just different stuff like that. And according to them, you know, our father was in them streets, okay? He was in the streets. So it wasn't uncommon for him to may have had another child because he was in them streets, okay? So anywho, you know, they talked amongst themselves. They called my granny and, you know, they were like, we want to meet you. Where are you? And, you know, my mother is originally from Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore, Maryland. And so my biological father is also from Baltimore, Maryland. So, I'm thinking, you know, everybody's up there. So my brother hits me up, and at the time he was on vacation, and he was like, I live in Gloucester. I was like, Gloucester? I live in Hampton, Virginia. Gloucester and Hampton is about a 40-minute drive. He said he lives in Gloucester. He was like, our grandmother lives in Gloucester too. She wants to meet you. She wants you to call her. And I'm such an emotional person. I couldn't do it. Like, I couldn't, my nerves were like shot. I couldn't do it. So we're, you know, texting back and forth on the phone and just talking. And I think I finally called her. And when I tell you it was a ball fest, oh my God. Like, I was crying. She was crying. She was like, she was in the store. And she was like, she was trying to get herself together. She was crying in the store. And it was nuts. So I found them in August of 2018. And I think when, you know, more stuff went on, but I'm not going to go all into detail with that. I'm just going to say, you know, my story. And they were just like, hey, we want to meet you. So we met up, and mind you, Lord Jesus, I'm sorry, y'all. It took me about 38 minutes to get to her house. When I see where she lives, do you understand that my children play football? Where she lives at, we've driven past her house multiple times for them to go to this particular field in Gloucester. Not knowing that I have family that lives there. And, you know, just driving past, I was like, oh my God. Do you know how many times I've driven past here? Do you know I might have seen you somewhere, not even knowing that you was my grandmother? Like, you know what I'm saying? Or my brother lives in Gloucester. I might have seen him and not even known that I seen him. And, you know, it was just nuts. So I went to her house. She's crying. I'm crying. Like, we're just snotting crying. Just like, oh my God. And she just knew, like, she didn't take a test yet. She just knew by looking at me that she was like, you look so much like your father. And then, you know, I'm like, I've never seen pictures. I think my brother, Jared, did send me a picture of him when he was in uniform. And I'll place it over here somewhere. And I was like, wow. Oh my God. Like, you grew up your whole life thinking, mind you, like I said, my whole life, I did not meet my father's side until I was 33 years old. So I grew up my whole life thinking that I look like my mom, or that, you know, or my mom would say, you don't look like me. You look like your father. You got his nose and his ears and his this. And you like, whatever. I look like you, lady. Stop with the extra stuff. I look like you, okay? But anywho, so I met, you know, my granny and my grandpa, and my brother was there and his wife and his kids. My sister lives in Baltimore though, so at the time she couldn't come down, but she ended up coming down, I think, like the next week. So anyways, we all meet up, we talking. My granny brings out this book. So she has a book of my father. And she brings it out. We're looking at the book. And I'm just applaud at these pictures of him because I'm like, oh my God, this looks like me. Like, oh my God, like when I was a kid. I'll play some pictures. It looks like me. Like, this is nuts. Like, I'm crying looking at these pictures because, like, I'm sorry. It's still emotional. It still makes me like this. I'm looking at these pictures of him in the book instead of him. Like, and I'll go into that story in a minute. But I'm looking at these pictures of him, not being able to see him. And, you know, growing up, and it's like, he died in 2000. He got murdered in 2000. So meanwhile, as a kid, I'm looking for him. As an adult, I'm looking for him. Hold on. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, y'all. I told you I get emotional. So, he was murdered in 2000. I was 14 years old, about to turn 15 when he died. Not knowing, had no idea. So I'm looking for him, and wondering why he wasn't looking for me, you know, coming up. Not knowing that he was gone. So even as an adult, looking for him, having kids, looking for him, he was gone. And I was mad, I was angry. Because I felt like, why is he not looking for me? Not knowing he was gone. So, that hurts a lot. And then to find out that he was murdered, like somebody killed him for nothing. Like they killed him for nothing. And it hurt, you know, because I never got a chance to meet him. I didn't get that chance. You know, and I thought that once I found my granny, I would see my dad and everything, and I didn't get that chance. I had to go to a cemetery to go see him. A cemetery. And I had so many questions of, like, why you didn't stay around, you know? And the whole situation was horrible because he was married and he stepped out on his wife. I don't know, you know, the logistics. I just know that he was married and my mom didn't know. And here I am. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a messed up situation. I didn't do nothing, but it's a messed up situation. And, you know, my mom, she no nonsense. If anybody knows my mama, they know she don't do that. She don't do drama. She don't do that. So I believe that my mother did not know. I know for a fact she didn't know. And she didn't know. And when she cut it off, I know she cut it off. And, you know, people that know her, they be like, well, you got to think, your dad was young. Your mother was young. Your mother cut him off and said he ain't got to do nothing. He ain't got to be there. This, that, and the third. So what you think a young man is going to do? And he's married. Yeah, he's going to leave the situation alone, you know? And it's like, I don't know his side. And then hearing, you know, my granny was like upset because she was like, he didn't tell us. And who did he tell? And, you know, just, it was just a lot. Like, did anybody know that he had a, you know, that he had another kid? And, you know, they were like, well, he did mention the fact that I think he told one of his girlfriends that he did have a daughter out there, but the mom wouldn't let him see her, or he didn't know where she was. And so hearing that, it kind of helped a little bit, because it was like, well, maybe he did look, but he didn't know, and he didn't know where to look because he got out the military, or he got put out the military. I'm sorry. Oh, but he got put out the military, I think like right after, maybe 86. I was born 85. So, me and my mom ended up going to Germany, I think in 88. So, you can't, yeah, he couldn't find me. You know what I'm saying? But it's just so unfortunate when you think you find your dad and you don't find him, so he's gone. But back to, to when we were there, I went to my granny house and she just showed me the book of him, and just seeing him in the book, when he was a kid and coming up, like, he was a nice looking man. He was a nice looking man, okay? And just looking at the pictures, and I'm seeing myself. I see my nose. Like, so my nose came from, my ears came from, my eyebrow, my chin. Like, I see it. You know what I'm saying? And it just sucks not being able to physically see him, or, being able to talk to him. But I did find my family. Like, and my dad's side is huge, okay? They're big. It's a lot of them. And, I have 2 brothers now, and I do have a sister from my mom, but I have a older sister. Granted, we're like Irish twins. She was born January 85. I was born May 85. But neither here nor there. We ain't got nothing to do with that. But I gained a family. I've gained siblings. Like, I grew up the first 14 and a half years of my life, I didn't have anybody. My baby sister was born in March of 2000. I turned 15 in May of 2000. So I was by myself for 14 and a half years, almost 15 years. So I didn't have siblings. I've always wanted siblings. I wanted somebody to play with. I was a loner, like, I was the only child for so long that, I always wanted siblings. And to know that I had siblings, but I didn't know that I had siblings, it's nuts, and we just missed so much time. 33 years of life with my siblings, with my granny, with my grandpa, with my uncle, with, my cousin. I got a first cousin. I don't have any first cousins on my mom's side. I don't have any. And I have 2, but one is passed. Travis is passed, and then my other first cousin is Cece. So it's just crazy. You gain all of this stuff in the matter of like a month after finding out, the ancestry. So it's unfortunate, but I am glad I did finally meet them, because had my mother not purchased the ancestry test for me, I would have never met them, because I was like, I ain't buying that. I ain't doing that. I ain't giving nobody my DNA. I would have never found them had my mother not buy that test. Because like I said, she brought it. I wasn't going to waste it, but I wasn't going to spend my money on it. So, had she not brought that test, I wouldn't have found my family. So I'm grateful that she did buy me that test. And I'm just so grateful to have found them. And it's just, the story is just like, wow. Like, after 33 years, I finally found my dad's side. It just really sucks that he's not here, because I had so many questions for him, and, the situation, yeah, it can be unfortunate. And what's awesome is that my brother and sister's mom is just she's so welcoming. Like, she wasn't mad at me. You shouldn't be mad at me, but the situation, she wasn't like, she knew how our father was. She was like, I wouldn't put it past him. I believe it. You know what I'm saying? So she wasn't like mean. She is like, she's really awesome. She's a really sweet lady. And, she's going to be in my life too, because she's my brother's, my sister's mom. So, and I'm always going to be there. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love my brothers and my sister. Like, I love them so much, you know. But it's just, so if anybody's ever looking to find a family, try one of them tests, because I'm telling you, like, I found my whole daddy side. Like, it's crazy. But I'm glad that I found them. And it's just really nuts that they're only 40 minutes down the street. Like, that's the craziest part, because I was like, I've been driving past this street and you live on the street. Like, this is crazy, you know? And it's just, I'm so happy that I found them. But, yeah, that's my story in a nutshell. I can't think of anything. I mean, it was more to the story, but I just wanted to share that, you know. But we do stuff together, you know. Jenny goes over my granny house and she spends time with my granny. My brother has 4 kids just like me, so my daughter has first cousins, like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like she can grow up with them because they're all like the same age. So my oldest son is 17. I got a 16-year-old, 12. These are 3 boys. And my daughter is 8. So my brother has a 19-year-old now. His oldest is 19. His second oldest is same age as Cam, so 17. And then he has 2 daughters. They are 12 and 9. Yeah, 12 and 9. She'll be 10 this year. But they're all like, Jenny and them are like this, you know. It's just so awesome. Like, Jenny can grow up with what I didn't have. My sons have first cousins that are boys that you know what I'm saying? Like, they can grow up with that. I didn't have that, you know. So they're just kind of, you know, fortunate. They aunts, I mean, you know, my sister, then my brother and his wife, and then my little brother, he's not married, he doesn't have nobody yet, but, you know, it's just, they get to grow up with that. You know, my little brother takes them and, you know, spends time with them. He comes to their football games. Like, it's just so awesome to have the support and, you know, of your family. Like, it's so dope, and it's just so awesome. And I'm so appreciative that God was like, go back, look, keep looking, it's something there, keep looking. And I'm telling you, it felt like something just popped up, because those days that I looked and I didn't see anything, and then God was like, go back, and I was like, I did go back, I looked again, it's nothing there, and he was like, go back. And I clicked, and somehow the friends list populated, and I seen my brother up there, and you know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because I've been looking for a Daryl Butler. Why my brother's name ain't pop up before? I don't know. That's weird. Now I'm thinking about that. That's weird. But, you know, I'm fortunate to find them. I'm fortunate to hear. And we talk about stories of my dad because I love hearing it. Like my brother and sister, and, you know, they always tell me stories about him. And my brother gave me his Bible that, you know, my father had, because I don't have anything of his. And so, you know, he gave me his Bible. And, you know, my dad had a rough life, apparently, after he got out the military, and he was on drugs a little bad. And, you know, they always say that you never knew he was on drugs. He didn't look like he was on drugs, and, you know, this, that, and the third. And, you know, when he came around, you know, he was clean, and you never seen, you know, him dirty or anything like that. And, you know, he would hop from my grandma's house and do whatever, you know. Grandma would always let him in. He'd stay in the basement and, you know, get himself together. He'd get my brother and sister. And then my little brother, so when my dad died, my little brother was 3. Or he was about to turn 3. So he was 2.5. And he died. And so, you know, they tell me stories. And it's funny because the stories they tell me, and everybody, like, all the family, like, your father was so funny. And I'm like, no wonder where I get my goofiness from, because my mama is like, she ain't goofy. She like strict. She like stern. Like, okay, she may make you laugh every now and then, but that lady mean. Anyway, I love you, Mom. But you know, hearing just stories about my dad, and they're like, yeah, he was hilarious. Like, he always made you laugh, and just different things. So I love hearing stories. I like history anyway, but I love hearing stories about him because it makes me feel a little bit closer to him, because I didn't get a chance to know him. So, you know, just hearing just those different stories from my siblings, and they were just like, yeah, he was so funny. And, you know, the things he would say, and just like how he would wear his clothes. He always had to show his chest, and, you know, just different things. And it just made me feel like I knew him a little, you know what I'm saying? So I do appreciate the stories that my family tell me about him and how he was. And it's just crazy. And we're still going through, me and my siblings now are still going through things with his killer in the court system. So they had court way back then, and the guy got sentenced in 2001, and the whole situation is just it's just crazy, because according to my family, you know, my grandmother doesn't really like to talk about it, because that's her baby. Like, this person killed her baby. That's her baby. You know, granted, it's our father, but that was her child. And she doesn't really like to not talk about it, but as far as the court part of it, and the man, because the guy is still alive that killed our father. And the whole situation was, according to, you know, listening to my brother and my sister, was that and dad was going to rehab, and he was dating a lady, and he had left her house to go to the store, apparently to go get some shoelaces. My sister was like, I don't think he was getting no shoelaces, but okay. So he went to the store to get some shoelaces, and apparently the guy that shot him, I guess he had a friend by him or something, and the guy that shot him said he had got robbed by somebody that looked like my dad. And so the guy that was with him apparently was like, that ain't him. He looked, you know, he had on kind of the same shirt or jacket, but the guy he was with was like, that's not him. And the guy that killed them, they got into a tussle, like a verbal altercation, little tussle. And I guess the guy pulled out a gun, and dad was running, and he shot him. I don't know. I think my brother said like 3 times. In the chest, the head, and the back, or something like that, he was saying. I think. But my brother was just telling me that once it happened, he told me something disturbing, and I was like, dang, you gotta live with that. And it broke him, you know. After they said that my father had got shot, they went down there. Somebody went down there. I guess my Uncle Willie had a garage, like a car garage that you could, you know, what's them things like Monty Key? They work on cars and stuff, you know, autos, one of them things. So anyways, they ran down there, got him, my Uncle Jimmy, and I think my I forget what my brother said. I'm sorry if I'm messing up the story if my siblings watch it, but y'all know I'm trying to get my thoughts together. But anyways, they had ran down there, and I think they saw his body. They saw his body. Like, his brother saw his body. His uncle saw his body, like, just laying on the ground. And I don't think my brother saw it, but he said that he had a piece. I guess he picked up a piece of my father's skull and had it in his hand. And I don't know who he said he gave it to, but just having that, it hurt him. And yeah, so but you know, listening to that, and I'm just like, it was like they killed him over mistaken identity. So my dad is gone because he thought that it was somebody else. that he was somebody else. So you took his life because you thought he was somebody else. So none of us have our father, but my siblings feel like I got it the worst because I never met him. And it's just so unfortunate because when you hear that, you're like, what? You killed him for nothing? And the guy's in jail, so they gave him... The guy, okay, so when he killed my dad, I think he was 16 or 17, the guy. My dad was 34. So he's been in jail since he was 17 years old. So he's been in jail since he was 17. They gave him, I think, 20 years plus life. So he just finished serving his 20 years, right? He's been appealing to get out of prison. Now Maryland has a law that if you were in jail and you did 20 years and you were a minor, is it a minor? And you were in jail for 20 years, you can appeal to get out. So he has appealed to get out of jail. So mind you, 2020, he was up for parole. And that's when COVID happened. So they did his parole via phone. So we're all on the phone. You know, me and my siblings are on the phone listening to this man on parole. I don't agree with parole because I will say this, and I'm sorry if this video is long, but this is my story. And I will say I don't like parole. And being on the phone call and listening to this man who killed my dad and has no remorse whatsoever and said, I didn't kill him. Were you in the same? Oh, I wasn't in the courtroom listening to my siblings, and they were like, he's lying. How you not have no remorse? And you talking about, oh, I'm like, and the people on the parole board was like, well, if you know who did it, because he said he know who did it, but he's not telling. And he was like, I'm from the streets. You can't tell because we got a code. Like, pretty much he said, snitches get stitches if he tells. Fool, you've been in jail for, at this time, 19 years, right? 19, 20 years. And you still on that? You done served 19, 20 years in prison, and you up for parole, and you gonna say the street code is snitches get stitches? Boy, I be singing like a 20 years? Ain't no way. But he pretty much said he didn't kill our father, blah, 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 blah. He has no remorse, right? So he's been in jail 20 years. He hasn't gotten his GED. He hasn't done nothing. You've been in jail for 20 years. What are you doing? So the parole board, the whole meaning of the parole board is to see how you would do if you were to get out of jail. So I'm like, what? Like, they don't listen to the case. They don't know much about the case. They just know that he was in jail for murder, blah, 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 blah. So he can sit up here and lie to these people and say, you know, yeah, so-and-so wasn't here, yeah, blah, 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 because they don't know the case, right? They don't listen and they don't read the case. They just know his stuff, what he did, blah, blah, blah. They don't dig into the details of the case, right? So they have a statement from the family speaks, and then he speaks. So I spoke on behalf of the family, you know, saying blah, 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 whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. Anywho, one of the parole people on the board, he ended up not getting paroled. They said, well, we'll come back in 2025 and see if you've done anything to change, right? So one of the people were like, you know, my story pretty much helped him not get out, right? And, you know, we were asking questions and was like, you know, what, do y'all not know anything about the case? Like, he's just throwing, what's that, like, just, I can't think, I'm trying to think of another word, just lying to y'all. He's just lying to y'all, just feeding y'all lies to help him get out, you know? And they were just saying that, you know, different stuff he was doing in there. But what really got me was, we're listening to this man talk about his life. How, I think his mother died when he was in prison. And he couldn't go to her funeral, this, that, and the third, and his son, and this, that, and the third. Just talking about that, and, you know, people visiting him. And I'm like, I wish I could interject and say something, because I would have said, at least people could come visit you. We got to go to the cemetery to see our dad. We can't even physically talk to him through a wall, through a phone, through, nowadays, people in jail got goddamn, like FaceTime, face-to-face stuff. Like, we can't do that to our dad. You know what I'm saying? You have the opportunity to be able to look your people in the eye and talk to them or hug them. We cannot do that. And we listening to this man talk about his issues and what he got and what he don't got. I wanted to hang up the phone. I was just so... But anyways, we go back to court to see this man in person in September. So I'm going to write another statement, and I pray to God that he stays in prison for the rest of his natural born life. Okay? And you hate to be like, you know, they be like, well, forgive. I don't forgive him. I don't. Because you took something from me I can't never get back. So it's hard. It's God forgive me, but that's going to be a tough one. But, you know, it's just, it's really hard. You know, some things you can forgive, but you don't forget. But I don't know if I can. I will say that I am fortunate to have met my family, but it just, I still don't feel whole, if that makes sense. Like, I felt like half of me was missing. So I kind of felt half of that half, but I'm still missing the other half. So I'll say I'm 3/4 of the way full. I'm still missing that last quarter. And unfortunately, I probably won't be able to feel that last quarter until I meet my father again in heaven. And I pray that's not for years. I want to live a long and fruitful life, okay? I won't be one of them ones in my 90s still backing that thing up. Do we stop? But I want to live a long, fruitful life. It's just sad that my dad is not here to see his grandkids, his kids grow up, meet me. He's not here to see that. So, but I thank God for Ancestry. No, this is not a paid promotion. My mother paid for the Ancestry test. I'm just telling my story. So I thank you if you have sat here and listened to the whole thing and watching me boo-hoo cry and all of that. I appreciate y'all for sitting here and watching and listening to my story. Maybe you can share this to whomever might be going through some things. They don't know their father or their mother and they want to find out, do an Ancestry test. I'm telling you, it is so much more that pops up now. I think my granny did a test, my brother and sister, and they're right there. Like, you know what I'm saying? So even if I came and they would have thought I was lying, I'm not, because they on my Ancestry, okay? My granny says grandmother on father's side. My brother is up there. My sister's up there. So it's, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I appreciate them because they really did. Dang, Cam. Sorry. They really did bring me in and no questions asked. They didn't say, where's your DNA test? Let me see. They didn't say none of that. I told them my story on how Willie Gregory was on my thing. That's my granny's brother, by the way. If I didn't say it before, Willie Gregory is my granny's brother. And he popped up on my thing as a high match. So, yeah, he popped up there and I'm just fortunate. Like I said, they didn't have to accept me with open arms, but they did. They did. And that I'm very appreciative. I love my family. I love my Gregory, Butler. What else we got in our family? It's so much different things. Because Gregory is my granny's daddy. But then it's like Tabs or something. It's like a lot. Their family's huge, okay? But anyway, I thank God for my Gregory and my Butler family. And I love you all. You know I do. But that's my story. I'm sorry if y'all hear my kids. You know, it's summertime, so they just, yeah. But I thank y'all for taking the time to listen to my story. And like I said on my channel, we have many different things. As you can tell, we have story time, we got reborn dolly time, we got technology time. I do it all, okay? And if y'all not following or subscribe to LA Stay Trippin', what are y'all waiting for? That's my travel channel with my... But all right, guys, I appreciate y'all for watching. And until next time, y'all be blessed. Peace.